Slaves exist to profit their masters. Employees exist to profit their employers. Here, there is no difference. The exploited party is used to enrich the exploiter. In order to keep people from realizing this and to ensure that they continue to show up for work willingly and cheerfully, some method of convincing them that the transaction is of benefit to them must be devised. This is where consumerism comes in. By promoting the idea that personal status and worth are determined by the ownership of property, the capitalist masters can ensure a sufficient supply of willing workers. The media is a tool of consumerist indoctrination. Through a constant stream of television programming and other media content, advertisers are free to promote the idea that the more we consume, the more we are worth as human beings. We are continually exposed to glorified images of wealth and glamour intended to provoke imitative reactions. Every little girl wants to be like the latest millionaire pop star. Every little boy wants to be like the latest millionaire athlete. Every grown woman wants to be like the latest millionaire career woman. Every grown man wants to be like the latest captain of industry. And to get there, we are told, all we need to do is work hard. What we are not told, of course, is that like an illegal pyramid scheme, capitalist economic theory requires a much greater supply of losers than winners. In order to get rich, every Donald Trump relies on a host of supporting workers, whose level of financial success is inversely proportional to the number of people employed in his capacity. The typical rich capitalist employs a few wealthy executives, a few more comfortably affluent managers, a greater number of middle-class office professionals, and a great many comparatively low-paid production workers. Whether this production work is done on an assembly line or a cubicle is immaterial. In fact, more and more white-collar companies are explicitly referring to their large low-paid departments as production. But it is not enough to say that capitalism resembles a pyramid scheme. The reality is much worse. It is also an enormous birth lottery. Successful capitalists like to promote the idea that their success is due to some personal triumph creditable only to them as individuals, but in reality, our fitness to compete economically is largely determined by factors outside our control, such as genetics, upbringing, environmental influences on childhood development, etc. We are not to know this, however, for the obvious reason that it undermines the consumerist message, just work hard and you can have it all too. Bill Gates did it, and so can you. The simple fact that we are not all Bill Gates is never mentioned. Capitalist societies praise individualism everywhere except in the economic realm. Economically, we are all supposed to be identical. It is as if we are to believe that we all grew up in the same household, with the same parents, the same genes, the same childhood influences, etc. As absurd as this assertion may seem at first glance, it is clearly supported by the very basis of the work and consume message, the idea that anyone can do it. Somehow, we are supposed to believe the plainly absurd idea that any of us can be the next Bill Gates, no matter how different our own circumstances may be from his. It is a form of magical thinking, encouraging us to believe that the laws of nature can somehow be disregarded. The fact that capitalism, which is explicitly based on a natural approach, promotes this abandonment of naturalism can only be a calculated deception, but it is a deception we tend to willingly embrace. We embrace the lie because we want to believe. We see images of wealth and glamour, and we want to think that we can attain them as well. We do not want to envision ourselves as limited, conditioned beings. Instead, we are all inherently omnipotent, able to transcend any circumstance and achieve the same results as the wealthy people we are shown. The economic masters know that we want to believe this, and they use our willful gullibility as a control mechanism. Success is just around the corner, so keep your nose to the grindstone. The promise of unlimited opportunity for everyone is the carrot dangled in front of us at all times, always just out of reach. And behind the carrot, there is always the stick. The penalties for economic non-compliance are substantial: social ostracism, poverty, homelessness, denial of health care, and possibly even death. there is a common perception that these issues are not adequately addressed in capitalist societies simply because the wealthy tend to be heartless and greedy. While this is often true, it overlooks another critical factor, the fact that in order to maintain profitability, the economic masters must ensure that there is a credible threat of punishment for work refusal. If society were more humane, the brutish natural condition of man as described by Hobbes would be less effective in motivating people to be economically productive. In summary, it is my contention that capitalism is an economic system with inherently Orwellian properties. It purports to advance the common good while disregarding the common man. It celebrates individuality while demanding conformity. It promises freedom and delivers change. By willingly participating in our own pro-work consumerist indoctrination, we sell our freedom to the merchants of greed and avarice, who are betting their own self-interested enrichment on our willingness to make the transaction. In most cases, it may be impractical to opt out and totally reject employment for the sake of principle. But, if nothing else, we can at least be aware of the real reasons why we work so hard, the real nature of freedom, and the contradiction between the two. In a post-Marxist world looking for deliverance, is there a better way? As nations such as Sweden prove, there is. I call their approach economic humanism. It is not a precise term or a well-defined system, but instead a broad vision of an economy that serves the population instead of a population which serves the economy. It is essentially a pragmatic approach, where markets work, markets are used, and where social approaches work, socialism is used. The overall motto is opportunity for all, poverty for none. It is a system in which those well suited to employment can pursue and benefit from it, while those not suited to economic work are not enslaved by it. It is the reconciliation of the wealth-producing power of capitalism with the humanity of socialism. And, finally, it is the resolution of Hegel's master-slave dialectic. If history is indeed the progress of the consciousness of freedom, the transition from traditional capitalism to economic humanism is a great step forward.